I'm the business bishop, on a mission so divine. Coaching up the kingdom, watch your glory start to shine. Step into your purpose, let ambition be your guide. Grow your greatness high with faith right by your side. In the marketplace, calling, hear the angels sing. You cannot lose when faith meets the grind. Stand up, take action, leave the fear behind. With a vision so strong, there's no way you'll fail. The kingdom is your canvas, let your spirit sail. Bishop Wayne's in your corner, together we'll break through. Victory's a choice and today you're gonna choose. Living out your dreams, ain't no time for second best. Fulfill your destiny, put your limits to the test. Break those chains, rise up, find your flow. You cannot lose when faith meets the grind. Stand up, take action, leave the fear behind. With a vision so strong, there's no way you'll fail. The kingdom is your canvas, let your spirit sail. In the marketplace, call it. In the marketplace, call it. Bishop Boys in your corner, together we'll break through. Victory's a choice, and today you're gonna choose. Living out your dreams, ain't no time for second best. Fulfill your destiny, put your limits to the test. Break those chains, rise up, find your flow. Find your flow. You cannot lose when faith meets the grind. Stand up, take action, leave the fear behind. With a vision so strong, there's no way you'll fail. The kingdom is your canvas, let your spirit sail. Rise up, business bishop, let your victory roar. Coaching for the kingdom, you're destined for more. Rise up, business bishop, let your victory roar. Coaching for the kingdom, you're destined for more.
Hey friends and kingdom family, greetings, blessings and salutations to each and every one of you. Welcome to today's Kingdom Conversation with me, your host, Bishop Wayne Malcolm, the Business Bishop. I am always excited and delighted to be a part of your life and legacy through this ministry. I just want to shout out to those of you that are joining us live. I celebrate each and every one of you that takes the time out of your very busy schedule to just come on in to this kingdom space where we are having an ongoing kingdom conversation, exploring the gospel of the kingdom as it relates to your assignment in the marketplace. And of course, for those of you who are catching the replays, you are part of a great global kingdom family, and I do celebrate each and every one of you. Of course, you're loving my sound effects, because I love my sound effects, and I'm going to use my sound effects whenever I feel a sound effect moment. So, of course, if I say something tonight that I think is like, wow, that's what you're going to hear. If I say something that I think constitutes a light bulb moment, an epiphany, an elevation in our understanding, or perhaps a paradigm shift, that's what you're going to hear. And if I say something that I feel like if we were together in person, you would all be clapping. And that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to encourage you to utilize the chat box as your virtual voice. Send up those emojis. If we say anything that deeply resonates with you or that constitutes that light bulb moment, please do shout your amen in the chat box. Send up emojis, fire emojis, heart emojis, hand clapping, hands raised. There's so many emojis right now that express our emotion. So please do that. And of course, if you're catching the replay, I want you to comment. Absolutely leave a comment. Can I just take this moment to thank everyone that has subscribed to the channel? It makes such a big difference in terms of how the whole algorithm works and how much exposure the channel gets to other people who are looking for similar content. So please do subscribe to the channel. We're uploading new content every week, and I want you to please subscribe and click that bell for notifications. Do like the post if in fact you like what we're going to share today. Hit that like button, and of course grab the link and share it with your family, your friends, your neighbors, and your networks. Well, we are having an amazing month, and you know, my sense and my leading this month was to outline some of the pillars upon which our ministry and operation is built. And of course, I'm doing this in the form of certain predictions. So I'm making predictions, what you might call prophecies. And these are not based on a dream I had last night, and these are not based on something that I'm feeling in my soul or something I'm seeing in my mind's eye. This is actually based on some patterns in the scriptures. So the Bible is a book of principles, and it is a book of patterns, and very often those principles are hidden or encrypted in the patterns. What do I mean by the patterns? I mean the reoccurring sequences of events. So it doesn't just happen once, it happens 2, 3, 4, or 5 times, and it keeps on happening. And those patterns are there to reveal principles to us. And what the principles reveal to us is God's style or God's way of doing what he does. And the simple, truth here is that if you know how God did it, you'll sort of know how he's going to do it, right? Because however he did it, that's how he does it. How he does it, that's how he's going to do it. So there are some predictions that you can safely make once you understand God's style, God's way, the principles that are encrypted, hidden, encoded in the patterns. So I've been sharing, on our Tuesday and our Thursday streams, these prophecies, these predictions, but I've been giving a lot of context to the concept. So I'm going to do that again. Today. I'm going to release a prophecy today. It's based on patterns and principles and promises that are in the scriptures. So if you feel like you want to fight the prophecy, help yourself, but you're going to have to start with the scriptures, because that's where we are starting. So if you are ready, let me see your amens go up in that chat box, and we're going to dive into tonight's prophecy. So today I'm going to be talking about the true Eklesia, the true Eklesia. And Eklesia is a Greek word, and it is the Greek word that is translated church in the New Testament. So the Greek word translated church in the New Testament is the Greek Eklesia. And of course, the New Testament was originally written in Greek, in the Greek language, in ancient Greek language. And so what we have in our modern translations are translations of Greek manuscripts. And often, meanings can be lost in translation, because translations often fail to factor in some of the nuances and idioms and manners and customs of the time that people would have attached to those words and sentences simply because they lived in that time. They understood the broader implications of certain words, certain stories, certain phrases and statements. And we get in the modern world and we translate this Greek text into English, and often have to embark on some theological research to figure out, what did that word mean to the people at the time? And are there any nuances or idiomatic ideas, cultural concepts embedded in the word? And that's why, theology can be quite useful for those of you that want to go a little deeper than the surface meaning. So today I'm going to talk about the true Eklesia, which is the true church. And by virtue of the fact that I've said there's a true church, I am hereby suggesting that everything that calls itself church isn't church. Right? So everything that calls itself church isn't church. Every building with a steeple is not biblically a church. Every congregation, every denomination, network, fellowship, that calls itself church is not necessarily church from a biblical perspective. So I'm going to make a prophecy about the real church, a prophecy about the true church. And I guess if the cat fits, wear it, and you can decide for yourself whether or not these things are so. But we are going to have a blast right now. I'll kick off with some context for the concept. I'll talk about the objective in discipleship. We'll look at political metaphors, a definition for the word Eklesia. I'm going to talk about ambassadors and embassies, and then, and only then, am I going to release the prophecy. So if you're excited, again, keep that chat box live. So here is some context for the concept. When seeking for the real church, most people start with doctrine. Okay, now, listen, we're going to be brutally honest and transparent in this particular session, and we're going to ask some difficult questions, and we're going to face some tough issues. But for most people, if you said to them, which church is the real church, which church is the true church, they will typically start from a position of doctrine. Okay, what is the main teaching of the group? Or they'll look at the denomination, or they'll look at the religious traditions that are kept alive by the group, or they'll look at the group's articles of faith, in terms of what do they actually believe about major doctrines. And so this is typically where people start searching when they're looking for the true church or the real church, the church that Jesus said he would build on the rock. And so here, people looking for that church today are looking for who's got the right doctrine, who's got the denominational brand, who is carrying out the religious traditions, who has the right articles of faith, etc. However, I'm going to throw a spanner in the spokes and say, in bullet point fashion, as I do, Christ uses the word church only twice in the Gospels. So the word church appears only twice in all four of the Gospels. Christ uses the word twice, and that is typically in Matthew's Gospel. And so I think it interesting, ironic, and paradoxical that the kingdom message of Jesus, over time became conflated with the idea of church, churches, religion, etc., when Christ himself only uses the word twice in all of the Gospels. Now, of course, the word appears many more times in the New Testament, but Christ himself uses the word twice. He uses the word kingdom over 100 times. So that tells you what Jesus was all about. Jesus was all about the kingdom. The gospel of the kingdom was his message. His teachings were all explanations of the kingdom. His miracles were all illustrations and demonstrations of the kingdom. And when he, had resurrected from the dead, when he was risen from the dead, he spent 40 days and nights with his disciples before his ascension. And according to the Bible, he was teaching them things pertaining to the kingdom of God. So Jesus started with the kingdom message, ended with the kingdom message, and all in between it's the kingdom message, and the word church comes up twice. So I guess the issue is, why are you even seeking for the real church when actually we are supposed to be seeking first the kingdom of God? And we are to try to understand, embrace, realize, and manifest the original kingdom message of Jesus. So, Point number 3, at no point did he describe the church as a religious institution or as a place of worship. At no point, when Jesus uses this word church, or the word that is translated church, at no point does he use it to describe a religious institution or a place of worship, which is what it has come to mean today. People think of the church as a place for worship, a place with a steeple, particular architectural characteristics. That's the church. Where are you going? Going to church. Where are you coming from? Coming from church. A lot of people think of the church as a place of worship. And fundamentally, most people think of the church as a religious institution. And yet, at no point does Christ use this word to describe a religious institution or a place of worship. Instead, he uses a Greek idea. Okay, so Eklesia is a Greek idea. And it's a political metaphor to describe what he would build. So Christ said, upon this rock, I will build my Eklesia. I'll build my Eklesia. And this Eklesia is a Greek idea. It's a Greek idea, and it is a political metaphor. It is a political metaphor. So I want you to notice that Jesus doesn't say, upon this rock, I will build my temple, or upon this rock, I will build my synagogue. Because if he were to use religious metaphors to describe what he was building, then we would have confined the church to the religious corner. We would have thought of his movement as fundamentally religious. The synagogue being a place of religious instruction and the temple being a place for worship. If he would have said, upon this rock I'll build my temple, or upon this rock I'll build my synagogue, we would have thought of the church exclusively in terms of religion. But instead, he uses a political metaphor and a Greek idea. Now it's worth noting that Greek ideas were world ideas because, under Alexander the Great, the Greeks pretty much dominated the known world before they were overthrown by the Romans. But what the Greeks did was they insisted that everyone learned the Greek language. Everyone learned the Greek language, and that their own language became a second language. And so that's why the New Testament is written in Greek. It's written in Greek because Greek was the world language. It was the language that everyone could read or could hear, could understand. And so Jesus borrows a worldly idea, a world idea, and a political metaphor to describe what he's going to build. Upon this rock, I will build my Eklesia. So the word itself means the called out ones, and it describes an assembly of leaders who are called to influence society. Now I'm going to say that again. The word itself means the called out ones. It describes an assembly of leaders who are called to influence society. So when looking for the real church, perhaps the best starting point is to locate the assembly of leaders who seek to transform their cities. Lord, help me now. I'm going to have to say that again. I wish I had some help in here. When looking for the real church, perhaps the best place to start is not doctrine, denomination, religious tradition, articles of faith. Perhaps the best place to start is to locate the assembly of leaders who seek to transform their cities. Because that is the political metaphor that Christ uses. That is the Greek idea that Christ uses to describe what he's going to build. So I said here that the original word really describes an assembly of leaders who have assembled to influence their city, their society. Now, I want us to notice that leadership is the objective in discipleship. Leadership is the objective in discipleship. So let's read this. Matthew 4, verse 18 to 20. And Jesus, walking by the Sea of Galilee, saw two brethren, Simon called Peter and Andrew his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishers. And he saith unto them, Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. And they straightway left their nets and followed him. Now, I want you to notice that there are three callings in one. So Jesus says to Simon and Andrew, follow me. So that's the first calling. That's the call to a personal relationship with Christ. That's the first call. Follow me, and I will make you. Okay, that's the second call. That is the call to a making process. A making process. The first part is the call to a person, right? Follow me. You are first called to a personal relationship with Christ. But once you have a personal relationship with Christ, you are now called to a making process. I will make you. And the process of becoming is called discipleship. They were disciples because the word disciple literally means a student or a learner who is under the tutelage of a teacher. So discipleship, okay, after you come to faith, the very next thing is your discipleship. It's this process, this making process. But what is the objective in discipleship? What is he going to make you? What is he going to turn you into? So watch this. I will make you fishers of men. That's the third part. You are called to catch men, to influence others, to change lives, to have an impact, to become a person of distinction and influence that affects the hearts, minds, lives, and lifestyles of men. So what's the end game in following Christ? If you follow Christ, you're going to become a key person of influence. If you follow Christ, you're going to become a person of distinction who impacts on your society. So the end game in discipleship is leadership. So if God has called you into his kingdom, then guess what? You are destined to rule and reign. You are called to lead, and you become part of an assembly of leaders who are gathered in order to influence their city and society. And this is why Jesus uses this Greek idea and this political metaphor to describe what he's building, because he's really building an assembly for leadership, an assembly who are destined to rule and reign, an assembly of influencers and world changers. I wish I had some help. So he wasn't talking about, I'm going to build these buildings with air conditioning and very comfortable pews where people can be entertained by a show or a performance, including lights, smoke machines, audio visuals, and they can be entertained by that, by some great music and singing, and then they can go home with a soothed conscience to say that, hey, I'm a Christian. But actually, to be a Christian means to be Christ-like, And what Jesus said he was going to build was effectively an assembly of leaders who would change their world. So Christ did not use religious metaphors to describe what he was about to build. Instead, he used a political metaphor. Let's read it. And I say unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock. Now the rock is the revelation of Christ. It's the revelation of Christ or of Jesus as the Christ. Now let's think about this. Jesus said to his disciples, who do men say that I am? And most men thought he was a prophet. Jesus said, "But who do you say that I am?" And Peter answered and said, "You are the Christ." Okay, so Christ is an English translation of the Greek Christos, which is a Greek translation of the Hebrew Mashiach. And Mashiach in English is Messiah, so you are the Messiah. It means the anointed king. This is what it means. The anointed king. That's the meaning of Christ. So the revelation that Jesus of Nazareth is the anointed king. The revelation of Christ is the rock upon which Christ would build his Eklesia. Now notice, he says, "You are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my Eklesia." Now, why does he say my Eklesia? Because there were many other ecclesias in the world. There were many other governing councils, governmental agencies, senates, congresses, civic forums. There were many other ecclesias in the world representing kings, kingdoms, domains. But Christ said, "I'm going to build my one." All right. So I am going to establish a governmental agency where my leaders can assemble and make decisions about how they are going to impact and influence on their cities and their nations, and how they're going to advance and protect the interests of the kingdom of heaven on earth. Wow and wow. Someone needs to be screaming in the chat box right now. I'm going to build my ecclesia, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatsoever thou shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. So notice, it was not the job of Peter or the apostles to build the church. Christ said, "I'll do that." He said, "I'll build my church." He didn't say, "I'll build your church." And he didn't say, "You'll build my church." He said, "I'll build my church. But what you do is you have these keys of the kingdom, which represent authority. You have authority, and whatever you decide on earth will be vindicated and ratified by heaven. So I'm giving you heavenly authority in the earth, and so that as my ecclesia, you can make decisions and you can issue decrees and you can begin to transform the cities, the nations, the regions, the institutions, the industries, the organizations, the corporations, the cultures, the subcultures, and everything that is a part of the world. I'm giving you heavenly authority as my governmental agency to begin the process of transformation, repossessing, reclaiming territory, and dedicating it to God's glory. Now, this is exciting. So what does ecclesia really mean? So it really describes a civic or political assembly for concerned citizens. It was an assembly of representatives in a city-state called to decide and determine the direction and destiny of the state. So it was not a gathering for entertainment. It was not where people came to be entertained. It was not, a place where people gathered to meet other people and say hi. It wasn't fundamentally about fellowship. It wasn't fundamentally about some of the things people do today. It was specifically about determining the direction and destiny of the state. Its closest equivalent in the modern world is a Senate, a Congress, or a Parliament. It's a governmental agency. It's a branch of government. That's exactly what the Eklesia was, a branch of government with real authority that would be ratified or vindicated or backed up by the king or the emperor in that particular region. So it was a governmental agency. And so its closest equivalent to ecclesia in the world today is a Senate, a Congress, or a Parliament. So let's think about this now. Upon this rock, I will build my Senate. I will build my Congress. I will build my parliament. I will build my governmental agency, because I'm king of a kingdom that is destined to take over the whole world, right? And so I'm going to build my governmental agency. I'm going to build my Senate, my Congress, my parliament. And you will have the keys of the kingdom, which is the authority to represent the interests of heaven on earth. Now, let's keep going. There were other ecclesias that represented the interests of other kingdoms. My church describes God's assembly of leaders who represent the interests of heaven on earth. In classical Greek, now, of course, you don't have to take my word for it. You can look all this up. You can Google this. You can chat GPT this. You can do whatever you use for research, and you'll understand that in the classical Greek context, in ancient Greece, particularly in the city-states like Athens, the Eklesia was a formal political assembly of citizens. It was a governing body where free male citizens of the polis, which was the city-state, were summoned to deliberate and decide on matters of public policy, including laws, war, and treaties. Wow. I guess that confirms what I've been saying. So when Jesus says, upon this rock, I will build my ecclesia, he was speaking about a branch of government, a governmental agency that would represent his interests in the earth. That's what he was going to build. And I think a useful way to look at this is 2 Corinthians 5 verse 20. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 20 says, now then we are ambassadors for Christ, as though God did beseech you by us. We pray you in Christ's stead, be ye reconciled to God. Now, notice we are ambassadors for Christ. Ambassadors for Christ. So, what is an ambassador? What is an ambassador? In fact, before I go on to the embassy, let's just talk about ambassadors for just a moment. Because an ambassador is not a politician. An ambassador is not a politician. A politician is the elected representative of a constituency of people within a state or a nation. The elected representative of the people. Okay? So who is the politician supposed to represent? The people that elect the politician. An ambassador is not a politician. The ambassador is the appointed representative of one kingdom inside another. An ambassador is an appointed representative of a kingdom operating inside another kingdom. In this respect, the ambassador is the embodiment of a kingdom. The ambassador represents a country, an appointed representative of a country. And the ambassador, an ambassador cannot be an ambassador at home. They can only be an ambassador abroad. All right. At home, politicians work to fulfill the aspirations of the people that elected them. But an ambassador represents one country inside another country, and therefore the ambassador's place is abroad. Now, it's very important for us to understand that, because when the Bible calls us ambassadors for Christ, the suggestion is that we've been appointed to represent our country, which is the kingdom of God. We've been appointed to represent the King, which is Christ. We've been appointed to represent him in another territory, in another sphere, in another world, in another realm. So we are appointed to represent our country inside the industries and institutions, the organizations and corporations, the cultures and subcultures, other countries and regional territories. We are appointed representatives of the King and therefore embodiments of the kingdom. And so this real church thing has so much more to do with representing the interests of heaven on earth. Now, let's just dive to this whole thing about an embassy. So really the church is the home of the ambassadors. The real church is the home of the ambassadors. And the home of the ambassadors is called the embassy. That's where the ambassador resides, in an embassy. And what really is an embassy? And I feel like we can only really understand the church when we realize that the kingdom is a country. When you understand that the kingdom of God is God's country, right? And that what God would build in the earth is regional embassies, okay? Embassies where the ambassadors reside and can operate in two worlds. So let's think about it. An embassy is a country within a country. Yeah, you may think of it as a building. You may think of it as a house. In some cases, like a big house is the embassy of this particular country, or it's a huge building, huge administrative building that is the embassy of a particular country. But actually, legally, that building is a piece of the country it represents, and it is built inside another country. And this is why its ambassadors have diplomatic immunity in many cases, because inside that embassy, they are not subject to the laws and the rules of the country in which the embassy has been built. They are not subject. Inside that embassy, they are not subject to the laws and the rules of that country. And so they are actually a country within a country. That's what an embassy actually is. And it is established or built to represent the interests of one country inside another. It is the home of the ambassadors. And so when you begin to understand that the kingdom is a country, and that countries are represented inside other countries through embassies and ambassadors, and then you begin to connect the dots that Christ said, I'm going to build my Eklesia, which is my governmental agency, which is my Congress, my Senate, my Parliament, that's going to represent my interests. Now we're connecting the dots to see what it was that Christ said he was actually going to build. And when you start to understand what it is he's actually building and what's actually happening, it far transcends the religious corner. It far transcends a place of worship with a steeple. It far transcends what's the name of your fellowship, what's the name of your denomination, what is your doctrine, what is your articles of faith, what religious traditions do you uphold and keep alive. What Christ was going to build would far exceed that. Now, this is not me saying that all that other stuff is not important, because it has its place. But if you confuse what we do in the way that we do religion with what Christ said he was going to build, then what we're left with is an impotent religious body confined to the religious corner that has no ability to impact on a city's politics, economics, or culture, because it is defined by its religious identity and confined to the religious corner. It is restricted, it is limited, it is bound, it is in the corner. What is happening in our day is God is moving us into the center, and he's moving us into the center in several ways. He is restoring the concept of the kingdom so that we as believers are accepting our social responsibility to make our cities and nations better places. We are accepting that we have a role in intercepting the plan of the enemy, derailing the plot of devils, bringing healing, recovery, restoration, hope, and help to broken and fallen communities, cities, and nations. We are realizing that actually our work is not Sunday work, it's Monday work. And Sunday, if that's the main day that you gather, Sunday is where we gather to sharpen the iron. It's where we gather to receive more instruction. It's where we gather for collective worship and spiritual instruction. It's like our gymnasium where we're going to get fit for the fight. But come Monday morning, you are the ambassador for Christ in the marketplace, in industry, in institutions, in sectors, companies, corporations, organizations. You are going in there as a representative, understanding that your job as an ambassador is to, number one, protect the interests of your country inside another country. So you want to protect the interests of heaven on earth, and you want to advance the interests of your country, of heaven on earth. So I've written here in bullet point style, an ambassador is not a politician. He, she does not represent a constituency or a political party. They represent a country within another country. An ambassador is the embodiment of a country. What you do to the ambassador, you do to the country. That's a very important part. It's very important that you realize how protected you are in the marketplace when you go with ambassador attitudes and ambassador consciousness. When you go in there conscious of the fact that you actually are the appointed representative to that industry, to that community, to that subculture, to that genre. You're the appointed representative to that sport, to that science. You're the appointed representative. When you have that attitude, what happens is a level of protection comes with that, because whatever you do to the ambassador, you do to the country. So you always treat the ambassador with respect and with honor, because how you treat the ambassador is how you treat the country. And this reminds me of something that God said to Abraham. God said, Abraham, those that bless you, I will bless. And those that curse you, I will curse. And whatever they do to you, they will have touched the apple of my eye. And whatever they do to you, they have done likewise to me. This is ambassador talk. It's kingdom language. It's kingdom metaphors. When Christ says what they do to you, they have done to me. You know, when Christ apprehended Saul of Tarsus on the road to Damascus, he said, Saul, why are you persecuting me? Listen, that's ambassador talk. That's kingdom language. And that is the essence of the Eklesia. Because what Christ was saying to Saul is, look, these people are my representatives in your world. And whatever you do to them, you have done to me. And therefore, the full forces of my might will come against you if you come against them. And this is what is so very powerful. Ambassadors are assigned to other kingdoms. You have to realize that you have an assignment in another kingdom. Your assignment is not about how churchy you can be, how involved you can be, how religiously extreme you can be, how more holier than thou you can be. That's not what it is. That's not what the real church is about. The real church is about this assembly of leaders who are assigned to other kingdoms, who are assigned to industry, assigned to institutions, assigned to organizations, corporations, assigned to the marketplace, assigned to other kingdoms. They operate from the embassy to protect and promote the interests of their own country. Wow, I think it's time I actually release the prophecy. So here's the prophecy. And this is for those of you who are still looking for the real church, still looking for the true church. First of all, I hope you find a church and a community of believers where you can engage in collective worship, where you can be discipled, where you can participate and learn to lead from that position. I pray that you find community and family and a pastor that cares for you and that teaches the gospel of the kingdom. I pray you find that. But for those of you that are still trying to figure out, well, what's the real church? Where's the true church? Well, the church that Jesus said he was going to build would actually comprise an assembly of leaders who are called to influence their society. And so if you want to be a part of that, well, that's a great thing. To be a part of that, that's great. So here's the prophecy. I see believers as leaders in the political, economic, social, and spiritual arenas of authority. And through their leadership, they will protect and promote the interests of heaven on earth. That's the prophecy. That's what I see. I see in the years to come, more and more believers operating as leaders. And they're going to lead in political spheres of influence. They're going to lead in economic spheres and influence. Some of the multimillionaires and billionaires of the emerging world are going to be believers. And they're going to become leaders in the social spheres of influence, including culture, education, entertainment, media, sports, art, both performing arts and creative arts. They are going to be leaders. They're going to have millions of followers and millions of fans. Believers are going to become leaders. And in the spiritual arena, we're going to see some powerful kingdom voices calling people back to the original kingdom message of Christ, to the original kingdom vision of Christ, to the kingdom concepts, to kingdom culture. And I'm seeing these believers as leaders in these spheres. And when believers operate as leaders, then and only then will the real church appear. Then and only then will the real church become very visible. Someone said, oh, well, isn't it just visible now? Well, Jesus said, look, I'm going to plant the seed of the kingdom into hearts. The seed is going to produce sons of the kingdom as wheat, but the devil has sown tares among them, weeds among them. And there's going to come a time when you can't tell the difference between weeds and wheat. It's going to be confusing. And let's admit it, when you look out on the religious landscape, it's just confusing right now. It's confusing. And if you look, way too many people are busy right now trying to separate weeds from wheat. And you're looking out on YouTube and you're looking out on Instagram, on Facebook, and on all the different platforms, and you see this teacher teaches this, and this one teaches that, and that one says it's a heresy, and that one says it's a prophecy, and he's all of these wheat and weeds, and you can't tell the difference. And Jesus said that's exactly how it's going to be until a particular time when the angels are going to do the separating. So there's going to be some separations. Right? There's going to be some separating, some sifting, some sorting, some separations. That's a whole nother message that I probably need to deliver at some point within our kingdom community. Really talk about the separation, the great separation. But when that separation happens, the real church is going to emerge. And you're going to find that the real church is about the kingdom. The real church is about the Eklesia, the governmental agency of the kingdom of God, here to protect and promote the interests of heaven on earth, destined to rule and to reign with Christ. Listen, we've had a blast. We've had an incredible time. Two things I want to tell you about before I close, and this is time sensitive, so if you're listening to this a year from now, it's not available. But I've been teaching a webinar series on the Zoom platform, and I'm going to be delivering the final installment on Monday. and you don't want to miss it for anything in the world. It's a very, very powerful webinar series on how to start your own movement and why it even matters. See, remember, the objective in discipleship is leadership. You are following Christ in order to become a leader. You are to become a leader. If you're not becoming a leader, you're not really following Christ, because the objective in discipleship is leadership. Follow me and I'll make you fishers of men. So if I'm not becoming a fisher of men, it's probably because I'm not following. So let's follow and become leaders. Okay? So I'm teaching that on Monday, and you can join us live. And if you sign up to the webinar and can't join the webinar, we'll send you information about how you can get the replay and get the whole series. So I want you to pay attention to that, and I also want you to pay attention to this ad that's going to come up right now, because I'm right now opening up spaces to my Inner Circle Elite Coaching Program, where I am going to be taking people on a journey designed to transform their life and business. We've got a ton of kingdom concepts and a ton of kingdom tools and a ton of experience in this area. We've put together a program that not only transforms you psychologically, which is the starting point for any meaningful transformation, but it also furnishes you with a skill set and a tool set that will give you an advantage in whatever sphere of leadership that God has called you to. So you want to look into that, put in your application, because there may be a space for you. Until the next time, peace out and shalom.
Thank you for participating in Bishop Wayne's teaching today. We trust that you were enlightened and edified by the principles and strategies shared. Bishop Wayne is currently opening up spaces in his Inner Circle coaching program, designed to take a handful of serious entrepreneurs through his elite training system. The system takes you behind the scenes to reveal the secrets and strategies of high-performing entrepreneurs in the knowledge-based industries. A knowledge-based industry includes any business that sells wisdom, advice, or expertise. For example, professional services like an attorney or an accountant, real estate agents and financial advisors, marketing and ad agencies, therapists and practitioners, consultants and coaches, public speakers and activists, artists and entertainers, preachers and ministries alike would all benefit from having the business bishop as the coach in their corner. A product-based business would also benefit from these strategies, given that the digital age favors personal brands. This program is designed to build you a visible and credible personal brand, to build you an audience of perfect prospects, to monetize your brand with premium offers, and to automate your processes so that your system works while you sleep. To this end, the Business Bishop would like to partner with you for success. Spaces are limited in this program, and access is by application only. While we cannot guarantee that you will be accepted into this program, we advise that you apply now. Successful applicants will enjoy a one-to-one consultation with Bishop Wayne to determine if you are the right fit for the program. Your one-to-one consultation with the bishop is not a sales call. It is more of an interview in which the bishop will want to know that your business idea is a business he is pleased to support, that you are coachable and ready to commit to the program, and that you can afford the program fees. If you pass the application and interview, then Bishop Wayne will take you under his wing to grow your business into a profit-making path to freedom. You can apply now by clicking the link beneath this message.
Join Bishop Wayne Malcolm for his exclusive January webinar series entitled, How to Start Your Own Movement and Why It Even Matters. This series is designed for kingdom entrepreneurs, professionals, influencers, and creators alike who want to make 2025 a defining year of distinction and destiny. It comes loaded with lessons and packed with principles on how to build a following in the digital age. It further explains why you must take your following beyond simply buying your stuff to becoming believers in your message and methods. It's eye-opening and has the potential to revolutionize your business, organization, or ministry. The webinar takes place each Monday in January at noon Eastern Standard Time. Registration is free, and the link is in the description. Register now. This could be the transformation you've been praying for.
Hey there, entrepreneurs! If you enjoy the teachings of Bishop Wayne Malcolm, I've got something amazing for you. Introducing the New Breed Community, an exclusive online platform for kingdom-conscious entrepreneurs, professionals, investors, and creators. This isn't just a community, it's a movement where we discuss and explore kingdom concepts. Here, kingdom-minded people connect, share, learn, and grow together. Inside, you'll find exclusive content from Bishop Wayne Malcolm, including special sessions just for members. And the best part? It's free to join. The New Breed Community sits on the Heartbeat platform, where Bishop Wayne Malcolm is excited to meet you online. Join us for weekly Q&A sessions with Bishop Wayne and get exclusive insights that can transform your life. Love to read? Join our book club to feed your mind and spirit. Got a prayer request? Post it and let's lift each other up. Have a testimony? Share how God's goodness is shining in your life. We're more than just a community, we're a movement. Discover the powerful relationship between your profession and your purpose. Join us now on the Heartbeat platform. Connect with us and let's grow together. Bishop Wayne Malcolm and the New Breed Community are waiting for you. So what are you waiting for? Hit that join button and step into a world of connection and growth. A warm welcome awaits you. See you on the inside.
Yo, it's time to rise, wake up from your sleep. Bishop Wayne's got the guidance, the wisdom runs deep. Subscribe and like, let's spread this truth loud. Comment, share it wide, let's stand tall, be proud. Kingdom coaching, we got the plan. Success principles, grab a hold and take a stand. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Bishop Wayne's teaching, we're climbing the stair. In the kingdom of hopes, together we'll thrive. With biblical truths, we'll keep dreams alive. Elevate your mind, shift that identity. In the marketplace of life, claim your clarity. Rule in the midst of the trials and the gloom. With faith as your armor, watch blessings consume. Stand firm, be bold, let your light be known. With each step forward, you'll claim your throne. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Bishop Wayne's teaching, we're climbing the stair. In the kingdom of hopes, together we'll thrive. With biblical truths, we'll keep dreams alive.